Well, hello everyone. Hello, this is Andrew, the Archon Philosopher, talking philosophy to the philosopher in all of us. Welcome in. I'm doing a redo of the Elagabalus video. This is an ancient Roswell event, I think. This is speculation for sure, but I think by the end of this video, if you don't see that there was something major happening back then at this time in the Roman Empire that caused such crisis, then I don't know. Anyway, let's get right into it and look at a timeline here. So we can start with the great Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He had a son Commodus who went absolutely megalomaniacally insane. There was a small fire in Rome, and in rebuilding, he renamed everything after him, including the city of Rome. He changed the name, and the Senate of Rome, and they went along with this for like 10 years. But after he died without any son or adopted son, there was a war between some generals, and General Severus won, and his son Caracalla took over. And then he died without son or adopted son, so there was another general, took over for 1 year, but somehow his troops just abandoned him for this kid. Now we got this 14-year-old kid from Syria, Elagabalus. He was the second cousin, once removed, of Caracalla, and he became Roman emperor at like 13 or 14 years old. How is that possible? We just have to ask. Over all the generals, over all the sons of senators, how did this 14-year-old kid become emperor, Roman emperor? Well, we're going to take a look at this, and this is it. This is a picture of what he was looking after in this small, medium-sized now Syrian town called Emesa, which is now Homs, Syria. There was this, I'm not going to call it a stone, but this object in a temple, and he was looking after this object. I'm tracing it back maybe to a grandfather, maybe to a great-grandfather, but they built this massive temple, which in the early Islamic world was one of the largest mosques up until very recently. So they built this temple around this object. What was this object? Well, we got a picture here in a coin, and this thing was drawn through the streets of Rome, and people were just gaping at it. Obviously, they were astounded by what this thing was. And we have this dynasty, the Severan dynasty, and we can see the picture here. This kid down at the bottom, he was emperor for 4 years before they killed him, and then his cousin took over for just over a decade before they killed him. And then, after this dynasty ended, it was a crisis. It's called the 3rd century crisis, and no emperor really took power for more than a couple of years. Most of them were just a couple of years or less. It was a massive crisis. And we have a better version of this coin later on from Emesa. And let's take a close-up view of this. This is not a meteorite. There were protrusions, there was a writing on it, some sort of symbolic writing, and this thing was in this temple, and it moved to a temple in Rome, and they built it way high up in the Temple of Jupiter in Rome, and obviously this was the center of this power that this kid had, that this dynasty had. You know, the general went over to marry this woman who was said to be prophesied as the wife of a king. Well, he went over and he married her and he became king. Severus became king, marrying into this family, which, by the way, is also of the family of Elagabalus, the great Neoplatonic philosopher. And so this is the object. You can make of it what you will, but this does not look like a meteorite. Yeah. So where is this thing? I don't know where it is. What happened to it? Well, I don't think we know. It may have gone back to Emesa, or it may still be in Rome. Who knows? But what happened was at some point, Valerian, an emperor, in about 253, he captured Emesa, and he was given the title Restorer of the Human Race. This is an odd title. You know, he also got Restorer of the Orient because he took a couple of cities from the Persians, but he took Emesa from itself. And ultimately, he got this title. But this is not the end of the story. Before we end, we'll go to Aurelian, another Roman emperor. In 270, just after Valerian, he reestablished Sol Invictus, which is the name of this object, the invincible sun. This is what they call it. It's the god of the mountain. It came over as Elagabalus, as god of the mountain, and then it came over into Rome as Sol Invictus. And this was reestablished in 270 again. So we see this crisis. And this crisis is, I think, a metaphysical crisis. It's a crisis of what this thing is, because it's not human. They say it's not of human origin. It doesn't look like a rock at all. Obviously, these people were sophisticated enough not to be, they've seen rocks. A meteorite's not going to be the center of this massive temple, which gave this family such huge wealth, propelling them into the Roman emperorship. This is not just a rock. And all of this was ended. All of this chaos was ended with Constantine in 313. And he established Christianity as the metaphysical basis for the Roman Empire. And then we know the Council of Nicaea, and then Rome and Constantinople were to set the canon for Christianity, which they have defended very steadfastly ever since. So whatever it is, whatever this object was, whatever propelled this family into their position of power, supreme power in the Roman Empire, it wasn't a meteorite. So I'm saying that, well, speculation. Sure, I wasn't there. You weren't there. Nobody was there. We've got oddities. We've got strangenesses. And it's most likely that something fundamental came down to earth and was visible for everyone. People freaked out. And there was a lot of rise of mystery sects at that time in the Roman Empire, including Mithraism. So we're seeing some confusion happen underneath. And I'll do a video on the mystery religions and mystery sects. They're very interesting. And this all arose at the same time. So somebody had to come in and calm things down. So if you want to know why today that there is information asymmetry, that the powers that be are withholding certain information, they have certain apparently biologics and craft, or recovered craft, and they're not even telling Congress. So obviously they think that should we all get to visually see this stuff, that we'd freak out. And we are visually seeing it, and that's the problem. It appears as though the craft that are in the skies, piloted by archons, are wanting to make themselves visible in order to do something to humanity against the wishes of those who are in control. So we seem to be in a battle here. So this is the end of this video. I hope to get some comments, likes, shares, subscribes, support this channel, because this is information, speculation though it may be, is ultimately going to help inform what's going on today in our skies. So until next time, we'll see you.